Alright, this is a 20,000% zamorak solo guide. What I'm going to be going over here is just my general thinking about the encounter and the strategies I'm employing, some of the rotations that I use, and the strategic choices that I'm making throughout the encounter, ways I am doing things, and under what conditions I would do something else. Right, so let's get started. Simple thing here on the witch is I'm just building up Emerald Aurora stacks with some autos. I'm building up Exsanguinate stacks, and I'm building up Insight Fear stacks. So that's all pretty self-explanatory. The Emerald Aurora is the only somewhat strange or different thing than you might do to like a normal encounter, and that just gives me 1% damage reduction per stack. You see here, I get on the pad, stand on the pad at the beginning of the kill, right here. Zamorak flares his wings out, and I reflect. This reflect time is important to make sure you can capture all three of the autos that you're going to take during the pad charge. So reflect, divert, sunshine. Alright, smoke cloud, tsunami, FSOA. Just getting set up to do damage. G-Conk, Omnipower, and then Ivan Staff right before the pad recharge. Pad recharge comes in, get a Wild Magic, and Devotion. So you notice I haven't taken any damage after the pad charge yet. Tanking those first three autos with the Reflect, and I was also flicking to the Spirit Shield for the second and third auto. So that's important. If you don't flick to the Spirit Shield, you will die. Because two autos cannot be tanked with just Reflect at this range. So your other options, if you don't want a Spirit Shield flick, are to VIP Pot. That will also work. But then you won't have your VIP Pot later, so you will need to do the next part of the kill a little bit differently, but that's okay. There's a different method than the one that I use that doesn't utilize a VIP Pot for after you come out of the Infernus in the next bit. So either way, Devotion, G-Conk, 2-hit is fix, Tendril. So the reason I'm doing it this way with the 2-hit is fix is just to save adrenaline for the most part, to guarantee that I can always cade. Right? If you wanted to bring like a G-Staff, that would probably be better, and you would likely still be able to cade. So I don't have a G-Staff in this inventory. My EOFs here are the ECB, SGB Dark Bow, Ivan Staff, which you already saw me use once, and a Ceradomin Bow EOF. And I'll explain how I'm utilizing that at some point. Um, let's see. So another reason that I'm using two 3-tick abilities and the smoke tendrils here is because two 3-tick abilities plus the smoke tendrils is exactly the amount of time you have on a devotion. It uses every tick of the devotion. So you'll see here right at the end of the smoke tendrils, I barricade. And that barricade happens, you are never when that barricade happens, you are never unprotected. So like no matter how the autos work out, the incoming damage will always be negated by either the devotion or the barricade here. All right. So go back a little bit. I didn't explain it as it was happening, but after the barricade, I do Greco with Wen arrows, and then I SGB. And so not only does that do damage, you can see the SGB is critting like 7.9k here in one of the arrows. It also enables me to get adrenaline, right? Which is important. After the barricade, being able to build adrenaline with a Greco is actually a really solid strategy, right? Especially, I've already used all my good magic abilities, right? So putting in those two GCDs where I don't really have anything good to do with magic, doing something that both does a lot of damage and builds a lot of adrenaline is really solid, and you'll see me utilize that throughout the kill in several places. After barricade or a mort, I often do the Greco SGB. But the bomb here, I divert it. You don't have to do anything to it. That's sort of a strategic choice just so that I can ensure that I always have adrenaline here. I like to go into the Infernus with high adrenaline. It helps the next part to work out well for me. You will tank something like 5k through the barricade when the bomb explodes if you do nothing. So that's perfectly fine. You've taken no damage up until this point, so you should be full HP from Soul Split. But yeah, Divert, G-Conk, Wow Magic, and then the damage is already good, so I come over here already. I just put an Enfeeble on the boss and do an auto to get the damage down a little bit. Had the boss not have been HP, I still had the option to do a G-Conk Omni, and that all would have fallen within the sun. So now we come in here to the demon. I entangle, put my spirit shield on, dome, and put on fortitude. Actually, I messed up the skill. I didn't put on fortitude. Fortitude isn't necessary. Can help though. So entangle the demon. Here I'm going to use piercing shot with Wen arrows, Greco with Wen arrows, and then I'm going to Wen spore another piercing shot. And so the Wen spore technique, basically you be on Wen arrows when you activate the ability, and then you switch to Death Spores the same tick you use the ability. That's all you have to do. So what I actually do, you can see on the bar, is I press my Wen arrow button. Well, I didn't actually do it here. Or the tracker hasn't updated yet. Let's wait a second. Yeah, what I often do is I'll press, if I have Quiver 1 and Quiver 2 bound, I press my Quiver 1, which is the Wen arrows, then I'll press the ability, either Greco or Piercing Shot usually. Those are the two most common abilities that you might want to use this technique with, and then I press the Death Spore ability. That way I don't have to worry about like what arrows I'm on initially and stuff like that. Requires less thinking to do it that way, even though it is more inputs. So the abilities we've used on the demon so far are Piercing Shot, Greco, and then Piercing Shot, and then I'm going to put on Full Arrows and Rapid Fire with the Demon Slayer Sigil. Then Wen Spore Piercing Shot, Wen Spore Greco. And that's going to almost always give me all of my Death Spore stacks and all of my Wen Arrow stacks that I want. So then DS, and ideally use one ability to kill off the demon. There I used a Piercing Shot. Alright, so come out here, Vuln, drink the Vip Pot. That was Incendiary Shot, Reflect, that Greater Ricochet, InGen SGB, and then Divert and hit the button. Hit the button immediately after Divert. The reason I'm InGenning my SGB is because you do not have 100% accuracy with full arrows, which is what I was using for those abilities. Now I'll come in here to the Witch Smoke Cloud, ECB, Rapid Fire. With 2 ticks left on the rapid fire, when you see 1.8 on the channel bar, switch to the Wen arrows, and that will give you 5 abilities within the Wen arrows after your rapid fire. That's the ideal time to do it. So Bulk Spec, Snapshot, Dark Bow, and then you see there, oh, we'll see it on the channel bar in a second. I Dark Bowed, and then I switched to my Ceradolman Bow EOF. Right? And what that does, it's a bug, basically. But the Restorative Shot, which is the Ceradolman Bow special attack, heals you 100% of the damage dealt over 15 seconds. And it's meant to only be like for that ability. But with the bug with the EOFs, you can switch to it right after you use a different ranged EOF and you will get the healing. So here I switched to it after a Dark Bow. And that Dark Bow probably hit like 20k. You'll see a heal come in, yeah, 4.1k. So that Dark Bow hit over 20k, and I'm getting 5 installments of 4k healing here, right? That's very nice. So after the Dark Bow, let's see what happened after the Dark Bow. With Dark Bow, Greco, Borg Spec again, and that Borg Spec fell within the Wen arrows, I believe. And then we're going to do Anticipation, and I waited a tick for an auto to come out with the Anticipation. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to do Piercing Shot and then Tendrils and have it fall within the DS. Right? Usually if you don't, like if I were to do like Piercing Shot, Dazing Shot, and then try to Tendril, it oftentimes falls outside of the DS. So just trying to optimize my damage a little bit there. Though this witch didn't go the best. It's not quite dead yet, but it's okay. Did a good job nuking the gray bar outside. So the strategy here is basically to nuke the gray bar so that you don't get a big red bar after this bad charge. It's quite hard to deal with if you have a high red bar here, and part of it is because your defensive cooldowns are so long in P1. The haste from the pad 2 edict has not had a chance to build up yet. So let's see here, this one goes fine. I come out on the pad, I do Enfeeble Debilitate, and Freedom, just to build Adrenaline, and we're going to Smoke Cloud Divert right after the second auto hits me, and that's going to allow me to get the maximum amount of time on the Natural Instinct I'm about to use. So this Natural Instinct is really helpful at building into Cade. If you can get it up, it is very nice to have. But here I did Sun, FSOA, GCOG, Devotion, and then Tsunami. I killed off the Protector. Usually it dies on the Tsunami. If it's not dead, you can use G-Conk or D-Breath. Just one ability to finish it off, hopefully. Right, turn to Zamorak, G-Conk, Omni Power, Wild Magic. Now, if I didn't have the Natural Instinct, I probably wouldn't be using Omni Power and Wild Magic right here. At most, I would use a Wild Magic if the Adrenaline was really high. Otherwise, I would skip both of those and just do a Tendrils and try to get into a Barricade. The Barricade is the most important thing here. So, then Tendrils, Barricade, and now here you'll see again, I utilize that Greco and SGB. So now I already have, like after that I have 91% Adrenaline after having just Caded, right? Which is pretty insane. So then G-Conk, 3-hit Asphyx. The 3-hit Asphyx here is just because the G-Conk has a more than 3-tick cooldown, and also to line up the G-Conk before the Wild Magic. You'll often see me use an Asphyx that's longer than 2 ticks just to line up the G-Conk before either a Wild Magic or an Omni. I think that's generally good, right? And the Asphyx is sort of like a G-Conk that takes your Adrenaline and doesn't add crit chance to your next ability, right? So they're about the same damage, and in some sense the Asphyx is worse because it doesn't do some of the things that G-Conk does. That's under FSOA. Like a greater portion of the G-Conk damage is coming from FSOA. So outside of FSOA, it's a bit different. Either way, you'll see me. There's the Wild Magic. I debill with Bulkwork. Then I Resonance and Reflect. I'm doing it in that order because I want this Reflect to last for all the autos after the bomb goes off. So you see here, right before the third auto after the melee slam hits me, I Anticipation, and that will last all the way through the Infernal Tomb that's coming up. Another thing that you did not see me do in this kill was use Preparation. So I'll go back here and outline when I should have used it. So, okay, so I cleared the red HP really fast, which is why I didn't use it here. But right after the first auto, after the melee hit occurs, that's when I would use Preparation. And that timing is important because it will get this Resonance off cooldown to potentially handle the bomb that comes into Infernus during Infernal Tomb, if you need it, if you have to use your Disruption Shield outside or something like that. It's nice to have it as an option. So here's this part again. I'm just walking towards pad 5. The pad order here is 235, 614. Alright. So the SGB isn't off cooldown. Just throw an Omni and go in. Alright, here you see the Fortitude, Disruption Shield, and Dome. Alright, on the Demon, I iced it when I came in before I domed. I throw the Vuln Bomb at the Demon, and the reason I do that is to cancel the Dome so I can Smoke Cloud. Right? Here, you see I messed it up. I didn't didn't get the Smoke Cloud on the Demon. Either way, the Demon rotation isn't super important. I just use abilities. When the Demon is about half HP, I do a Tsunami, FSOA, This is because I'm not going to sun outside. There's not a whole lot of damage left to deal, so I'm just going to uh, utilize those abilities. So here we go. I'm going to come out, auto, omni, devotion. Right, you have time to use one ability before the first auto hits you, so this devotion is going to cover me for that auto. And the goal is to kill off the protector to extend, or the life weaver, sorry, to extend the devotion here. Alright, so we've done it. Now, come over here. Usually I'll use, so I have my G-Conk and Asphyx and Tendrils, or like the main abilities I'm going to be using to deal damage to Zamorak. Here, I didn't, I think I had to use an extra ability or two on the Protector or something. Or I just had to walk a long ways, so I just did a Tendril and got into a Barricade. I think the Barricade makes it a little bit easier here, and it has the advantage of allowing me to switch to ranged and start building Wen stacks. Here I got my Wen and Spores instantly, which was kind of a mistake, right? So my Tsunami buff is usually still active when I Barricade, and I think I took a little bit long to finish off the Demon or something this kill. I don't remember. But either way, the crit buff was out, so I wasn't at 100 to be able to Incendiary Shot or DS here. So that's okay. I think I just do a Dark Bow or something, or a Bow Spec, I guess, with the Death Spores, build up Incendiary Shot, and DS, and kill the Witch. So the Witch rotations after the first one aren't super important. Just deal damage. Basically, I'll probably try to highlight some of the things that I'm doing on a future Witch, because this is kind of an awkward setup. But let's see. Yeah, I even got stunned out of like after I had activated my Wen arrows, right? So like in general, what I'm trying to do is anticipation before my rapid fire, so I don't get stunned out of my rapid fire. Yeah, see there, I didn't do it, and I didn't get the Dracolich infusion, which is really painful. I even sort of trolled and went out on less than 100% of drive, but this is good. So most of the time, I go out on the pad charges at 100% adrenaline. Here, I didn't. So this is sort of like an alternative rotation that I do that doesn't rely on being 100% adrenaline in order to get all of your stuff up. So in Infernus, I hit the button and then I reflect, and that'll allow the reflect to last through all the autos of the pad charge. Then I come out here, Enfeeble, Divert. Alright, Debil. And so the adrenaline recharge from the Divert came right after I used the Debilitate. So as long as I have like 65% adrenaline or something a little over that, I will be able to do this and Sun right away after the Debilitate. Here we go, you see me Sun, and then Smoke Cloud Anticipation. Dive out here to avoid the trap, even though I have the anticipation up. I want to be melee distance anyway to pick up the smoke in a bit. So you'll see me Omni Power and then Tsunami. And Devotion, and this Devotion occurs before the first auto. In general, I guess a lot of these rotations use Devotion and Barricade to negate all of the damage. At the times when damage is being taken, there's like very specific preparations being done in order to take the damage. So I guess you could sum it up as like the art of not taking damage, or taking damage at specific times. Here, so similar rotation to P1, G-Conk Wild Magic Tendrils utilizes all of the devotion and allows us enough adrenaline to get into Barricade most of the time. Alright, so you see here, something went wrong. I only had 98% adrenaline when I needed Decayed, I believe, so I Disruption Shielded. So that's a tactical choice, kind of. Like, you need to do something to stay alive, and the Disruption Shield is the tool that I chose to use. Else I could have bought it. That was the only other option, right? But I mean, it's not totally invalid. You just won't have it later for the cage in the next part where I use it. So anyway, if I use my Disruption Shield here, then I will save my Resonance for the Infernal Tomb Bomb coming up. Otherwise, I can choose to use my Resonance to get a big reflect against Zamorak sometimes. So that's the only thing that I need to pay attention to here, is to make sure I save that Resonance. So there, you saw me do something that mages almost never do, was channel out a Holeless Fix. And the reason is just to line up this G-Conk before the Omni Power, right? If I had a G-Staff EOF, I would probably do something like G-Conk, G-Staff, G-Conk, Omni. That rotation would most likely work, and it would probably be, almost certainly be more damage. But here, Fullest Fix isn't terrible given how I'm using it. I'm just using it to line up the G-Conk before something good. So, Conk Omni Wild Magic, I do that Wild Magic without a G-Conk to fit it within the FSOA. I think that's more important than having the G-Conk before it. So there, I just tank the bomb, takes about 5k HP. Do it in Gen SGB with full arrows and impact. There we go, use the Resonance, as I talked about earlier, and finish off the demon. Here, I'm not going to do anything special like FSOA or Tsunami. I'm just going to kill the demon and go back out. There it is. So that move there. I almost always preparation before I go out, and it's almost never necessary, right? It's just I got in the habit of doing it sometimes, and it is like moderately useful on some of the earlier phases, but not really that useful. Right? So you can do it or not. But it's nice to just have, like, I feel safer if my Resonance is coming off cooldown just a little bit faster. You know what I mean? Like, if something goes wrong, perhaps I could handle it. So the rotation I did there when I came out was Enfeebled Divert, Sun. Oh, Enfeeble, Divert, Sun, Tsunami, FSOA, J-Conk, Omnipower, and then D-Bill with Bulkwork, G-Conk, Reflect, and Vipbot. And so if you'll notice the, actually, I'll go back and highlight it. The timing on this devotion that I used was, it wasn't right after the previous ability. I wait 2 ticks to use the devotion. And that's because doing it right as the second auto hits you will let it handle 4 autos in green HP. So autos 2 through 5 here are handled by the devotion alone, and the first one was handled by this diver. So I take no damage until the magic cage spawns. Magic cage spawns. Or I guess adrenaline cage is the proper name of the ability, of the special. Alright, here. So D-Bill, Reflect, and Vipbot is enough to handle the cages. You can also barricade them. I like D-Bill, Reflect, and Vipbot just because it gives decent damage against the boss if you're short on damage. It pretty much will always let you phase the boss with 1 or so autos after the cage. Okay, here's a more standard witch. I got my Death Spores. I did DS before Incendiary Shot, and that's because I'm going to Anticipation after the Incendiary Shot, and I also want the Incendiary Shot to last as long as possible, right? So I might as well use the time when the Incendiary Shot isn't active to Anticipation, sort of the logic. So Anticipation, Greco, and then I have, with 70% Adren or more, you can ECB, which I choose to do. If you have 70%, the ECB will put you below 50 that you need to rapid fire, but I just let an auto come out. Wait a couple ticks for the auto to come out and then rapid fire. That's how I choose to handle that. So ECB or rapid fire, and then same thing as I did on the first switch with 2 ticks left on the rapid fire, I switched to Wen arrows, then Borg spec, snapshot, dark bow with the Cerebro EOF switch, which shields me up from the ECB. Actually, I think I messed it up here. It doesn't look like I'm getting any healing. Oh well. So, same thing again. Enfeeble Divert, Sun, Smoke Cloud Debilitate, Anticipation, and then FSOA. G-Conk, Omnipower, Tsunami, Devotion. And that's basically what I do for every single pad charge, right? It will keep you alive and it will set up all your damaging abilities. So, like, one funky thing here, though, is that I'm doing Omnipower before Tsunami. Usually, you want to do the Tsunami first, and the idea is the Tsunami gives you Adrenaline back. But here, you have the pad recharge, right? So, you're not really going to have Adrenaline problems, and you want the Omnipower off cooldown as early as possible so you can use it again, especially on these pads earlier into the kill. The cooldown is quite long. So I think that's good. Oh, here we go. In the Devotion, just use G-Conk Wild Magic Tendrils, that same sort of rotation again that has fills up the Devotion exactly. If there's a 5th auto here, I use a Divert to handle it. So you see here I had to Divert. Alright, now we do the Greco with 1 arrows and then SGB. Switch back, G-Conk, Wild Magic, G-Conk, Omnipower. So here, this is a tactical choice. I chose to clear the red HP. And it's kind of hard on the P4 here to clear the red HP, but this kill it went really well. I was doing a lot of damage in the first stun, so I chose to. If the red HP was really high or I didn't have a lot of autos before he curled up, then I would choose to stay between 10 and 20k in the red HP and stall there with a Debilitate Reflect for my FSOA and Sun cooldowns. And the reason I would do that is so that I could phase it right after the Mage Cage that occurs after the ring. That's the ideal way to phase through the encounter. So the strategy I use to accomplish that depends a little bit on how much damage I'm doing there. So here I just go through the HP, I Sun again. It's helpful that I had 5 autos because the Sun is off cooldown really early. So this part's kind of wonky, just use whatever's available. So you'll see there I used a Disruption Shield to handle the first auto, and then a Divert to handle the second auto. And the order there is important. Right, so the reason I'm doing it in that order is because I'm going to Barricade after the Mage Cage and do a Lure across the arena. And so doing them in that order, after the Barricade, the Disruption Shield will come off cooldown, basically right as the Cade ends, and then the Resonance will come off cooldown for what would be the auto after that. So it gives you a little bit more time, a little bit more leeway in the upcoming part of the kill. If you, say, stalled in red HP and did not have Devotion or Resonance or Divert available to handle the second auto, you could do the same thing that was done in the previous phase where I Devotioned on the same tick that the second auto hit me, like wait and do the Devotion. And that will allow it to carry through autos 2 through 5 and get into the cage without having taken any damage from the auto attacks. Here I like the Devotion because I've just put down a stun, I need Adrenaline sort of thing. If you stall in red HP, the Divert there will line up right before the FSOA, which is really nice. So that's another thing to note. Or you can Divert and then like the next ability can be FSOA before the auto hits you, is usually how it works out. So here I'm just using whatever good abilities I can. It's pretty close to HP, so I don't re-FSOA or anything. I just set up my Debil Reflect and Vip Pot for the cage. Here you'll see I just barricade here. If I didn't have enough Adren to barricade, a little bit of messed up movement abilities there. I would normally be gathering Wen and Dust Force stacks as I came across the arena here, but I didn't have a chance to this time. So there you see I grabbed some Wen stacks before I went in. But yeah, I just get across to the next witch, kill the witch in approximately the same way. I'm gonna put down a DS. Incendiary Shot, Anticipation, Greco, ECB again. And there's that thing where I was talking about before, where I let an auto come out after the ECB in order to get enough adrenaline to rapid fire. So rapid fire, activate the 1 arrows with 2 ticks left. Vogue spec, and so you see here I dark bow first this time, and that's because I'm trying to trigger the perfect equilibrium stack with a dark bow. I think that's the best ability to be doing it with. So then just use whatever good things are available to me. I'm healing up from my S bow here. Now here, I kind of messed this up because I killed the witch so quickly that my S bow is still healing me in the pad charge. You want to be below 60% HP to get the damage bonus from the pad 6 edict. It's 6% damage per stack, so I'm going to be missing out on 12% damage here, so it's not ideal. But either way, same rotation, and people divert, sun, smoke, debill, anticipation, FSOA, Yukong, Omni Power, and Tsunami, and Devotion. There we go. G-Conk Wild Magic Tendrils after the Devotion. And Divert for the last auto. Same thing here, Greco SGB. Back to Magic, I have enough adrenaline to use all my good abilities again. That's the goal, G-Conk Omni. Alright, so we did great damage here. It's 320k is the HP that I need to make it to, so here. We'll bomb on the... Alright, so this rotation is important. So I did Preparation, Resonance, Reflect. Right, as adds the ring spawn. That's my visual indicator to start this rotation. And so what that's going to allow me to do is resonance the first and third autos here. So, and that's good for a couple of reasons. When you resonance with Soul Split on like that, with the Reflect active, it does, you can see here, 25k being dealt against Zamorak. The Reflect damage is huge when you do that. So second hit, I put my Spirit Shield on for it so that I can keep my HP high. And this hit would hit much more if I didn't put the Spirit Shield on. And keeping my HP high like that allows me to divert this third auto. Even though I chose not to do it in this case, I think I was a little scared of the goo. But it gives me the option to divert. So, I think I didn't need to here because I was already very close to HP. Was maybe the logic. Either that or I just messed it up. So here I'm clicking the Vitpot very late. I should have Vitpotted earlier with the goo. But barricade, pick up all the smoke, use either a divert or a resonance to handle the bomb. And then just go on in. So outside, I'm doing Greco with just Wen arrows, usually. And then I'm doing Wen Spore piercing shots to gather stacks of things. So usually I try to come in with, like, once I get 3 Death Spore stacks outside, I stop building Death Spore stacks so that I don't get them outside and not be able to use them on the witch. So here I come in, I do like a Wen Spore Greco on the witch, build up my stacks, and basically the same rotation again. See the ECB, rapid fire, activate the Wen arrows, bug spec snapshot, and then dark bow. And here come the S-bow heals. Yep. Alright, and we annihilated this witch as well. Now, one thing I'm doing here, I'm putting Fortitude on for the pad charges. This isn't really necessary, but it is kind of nice to have like the additional 3% damage reduction. So it's not something I would put a whole lot of attention on though. But same rotation, Enfeeble Divert, Sunshine, Smoke Cloud, Debill, Anticipation. And you'll notice I didn't move out of the pad. So this is something I want to be standing here for the ring. So I want to clear out this pad. It doesn't cost a lot of HP to just stand here and pop it. So that's why I'm doing that. So same rotation again, G-Conk, Omni Power, Tsunami, Devotion, and then G-Conk, Wild Magic. Okay, here I recognize there's 5 autos, so I used a Reflect after the Wild Magic, got an auto attack, then did G-Conk, Divert. So that gives me enough Adren for Immortality. You need to be a little bit careful with the Divert. If it was a ranged auto, I would have just Resonance instead of Diverted. They hurt a lot. But here, I thought I would live, so I did the Divert into Immortality. Same thing again here with the SGB, One Arrow Greco, and then SGB. And G-Conk Omni. Alright, so first sun is dead, put down another sun. Alright, and then you'll see the same rotation here again. Here's a preparation, resonance, reflect. Then just use whatever good abilities I can. I can G-Conk for Adren. And then resonance the third auto as well, and devotion. Put a debilitate on, this helps me against the goo, and it also allows me to do this. Go into MD to pick up the smoke. Only really want to get 2 tiles of smoke here, keeps the damage from the smoke bomb low. If I was high HP, I could also divert this bomb. It doesn't do that much damage. Here, yeah, I just use whatever good things I have available to me, finish off the boss, base into P7. Alright, I put on Darkness. The main purpose of this is just to allow me to dodge the small bombs after the big bomb hits me, which can clutch a kill in the rare occasion that the damage is bad. It's huge or the rune dies very fast. It's 99% of the time, it's not necessary. Probably even more, like 99.5% of the time. Like maybe 1 in 200 kills, you will be helped out by this. But you know, that 1 kill is nice that you save through darkness. So darkness, devotion. Another thing here is I'm just trying to time out the devotion as like the second GCD in Infernus, because that will last through both magic autos. So the demon rotation isn't super important, just kill the demon. Alright. So I put on my spirit shield there to remove my aftershock. There's no crackling on this ranged armor, but if there was, I would remove the armor piece with crackling before I went to lower the rune. So piercing shot Greco, if you're greater than 60% HP, will almost put the rune at a good HP to kill with either frag shot or corruption shot. Here it's 3.2k, so I'm going to kill it with corruption shot. If it were 2.7k or below, I would kill it with a frag shot instead. In order to die to a corruption shot, I think it's around 3.9k is the HP that or less is the HP that I go for. If it's like slightly over that, I will just vuln it. If it's way over that, I'll do like a binding shot on it. If I was under 60% HP, instead of lowering the rune with piercing shot Greco, I would do piercing shot, binding shot, piercing shot, and that will usually get it into a good HP range. So I'm using a tendril on the other rune. In fact, I auto tendrilled, I believe. And the reason is I'm just trying to get my HP down to get the damage bonus from P6. I try to get it between 3.5k and 5k for this part because I'm going to get some healing when I cast an ultimate ability from the Pad 4 Edict. So, pretty self-explanatory. Make sure Zamorak is vulnerable and Smoke Clouded. I did some Wen Spore, Greco, and Piercing shots to get my Death Spore and Wen stacks here. If you didn't want to Wen Spore here, you just wanted to gather the stacks of your arrows, I would use one Wen ability before the DS just to maintain the stacks, and it'll last until you need them. So put down the DS, Piercing Shot, Bulk Spec, then Greco. I also drink my A-Pot here if it's available. It helps just build up a little bit faster. It's not necessary. See here, I didn't have it and it was fine. Alright, get to 100, Natural Instinct, use one ability to get my stacks to 3. Alright, go and do a Corruption Shot, Rapid Fire on zamorak, and switch to wind arrows when the rune dies. I use that as my indicator. Make sure there's a Disruption Shield active and a VIP bot active to handle the melee hit through melee prayer. Else, if you don't have a VIP bot, like you're out of doses or something, you can always devotion before you go kill the rune. It works perfectly fine. So after rapid fire, I did dark bow, SGB, dark bow, and the reason I put my stacks to 3 is because both of those dark bows, I wanted them to trigger the equilibrium stacks, or the perfect equilibrium, right? So I got 2 dark bows, 2 perfect equilibrium hits triggered with the dark bow hits, and an SGB. And then I'm going to do snapshot, dark bow, or that's what I would have done if the boss didn't die to the second dark bow. But the reason I'm doing snapshot dark bow there instead of just like dark bow after the dark bow is because I like usually you only get 5 abilities or so, right? And so you want those 5 abilities to be as strong as possible. So the strongest rotation you can do is probably one that triggers the perfect equilibrium with dark bows each time in that like set of 5. And so doing the snapshot dark bow sort of guarantees that you can get that. Yeah, see, you'll see we finished off the boss. Pretty good time this kill. I can't even type it out in the video. But yeah, 1431.2, so very good. But so some final notes on the kill overall here is that, or like ways of thinking about the kill, is that at this enrage, I think about it as using my defensives at set times and then doing as much damage as I need to around that, right? I think that's a useful perspective to take. So, I think that's all I wanted to cover here. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your solo endeavors at zamorak.